Hi, this is Aaron. Today is Sunday the 1st of September. It's day 19 on the allotment today. Today we're down here. It got down here sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock, which has been really good. And well, let me show you around and see where we are and what we're going to get up to today. The first thing to notice is that I did finally manage to get the cardboard down around either raspberry or blackberry or whatever these are. There is something quite nice happening because, I don't know if you can see that, oh they're blowing in the wind now, but there are just starting to get flowers, and yeah, I don't know if you can see on there is actually a bee pollinating one of my flowers. So we might actually get something in autumn, which kind of means it could be an autumn raspberry. So we'll have to see what's there. Now, I put the cardboard down and I watered this cardboard when I arrived, which is, you know, sort of maybe an hour ago, and already it's starting to dry out. I'm interested because, I mean, I have left gaps for the actual stems and sort of slotted the cardboard together around them, and I am making sure that water goes down, but I'm slightly concerned that this plant is starting to lean over as if it's not getting enough. Now, it's also grown a lot, so that may also be something, so I'm not sure whether I should be staking this plant to give it something to grow up against, or if actually what I need to do is to remove the cardboard, because what it needs is the sunlight shining where the roots go in as well. I'm going to sort of leave it for now, but all of them are leaning over. It could also be the wind, of course. So I'm going to watch that, and if it leans too far, I'll take the cardboard up. The cardboard is down to suppress the weeds around it, and then for me to water where the gaps are and where the plants are coming through. Now, you might also notice that there are some green bags down here because one of the days we went out and started looking around the various horse hacking trails, and we found a boatload of horse muck, which is in the green bags here, and which is currently keeping the cardboard down, but which at some point I am going to take out of the cardboard so that it can rot down so that it can be used on the plot. Because all of these tomatoes that I've put in, without exception, and if you remember, I was concerned and saying, look, they're either going to live and they're either going to recover or they're going to die really quickly. Well, none of them have died, and all of them have grown, and all of them are trying to get there. Now, the problem is that this is 1st of September, and it may be the case that we run out of time and the first frosts claim them, unless I could maybe create something really quick using water piping and polythene to go over them. But yeah, the size that they need to get to, it would be easier to build a polytunnel, and I think that might be an undertaking too far. So we're just going to let nature take its course with these, see how far they get, whether they flower. If they produce 1 or 2 tomatoes, that would be success. Underneath here, and I'll lift the cloche off this a little bit later, but all of my greens under there are actually really, really going for it. Covering them up was a really good idea. They're being protected, they're growing like crazy, and actually they're probably going to start to compete with each other fairly soon for space, because I think I've packed them in too tightly. Now, my one broad bean has actually started to flower again. I don't know if you can see that. See if I can bring it in. Yeah, it started to flower again. Now, the last time that they started to flower, that's when I got all the black fly. So what I've done is I've sprayed him this time as soon as I've noticed the flowers, and hopefully that's going to keep the black fly out. But you know, You can see black starting to appear on there. I'll spray them again today and hopefully that kills them. Yeah, a bit worried about my bean, but I mean, could it be the flowers rotting? Is that just what happens? Are those actually the beginnings of beans coming through? Is it diseased? I'm not sure. All I know is that he probably doesn't look that happy. But we'll give him a good water and a spray and we'll see what happens. But the real success story is over here, because I mean, some of these tomatoes are 4 foot, 5 foot tall now. I did have a bit of a dilemma, because what they were doing is that some of the branches were growing out and were flopping out and pushing down on the potatoes. Now, initially, I put stakes in the ground so that these sort of triffid tentacles could just be lifted slightly above the potatoes. But then, I mean, they were still going to be taking up way too much. So what I've done is I've tied them up back onto the canes so that all of the branches are going up. But, I mean, I think that's a good thing to do. It does mean that they're quite dense in there, but I mean, you can see now. Yeah, let's see there, there's tomatoes. And there's tomatoes. And there's tomatoes. And there's tomatoes. And tomatoes and tomatoes and tomatoes absolutely everywhere. All the way along here, on every single plant has got, I think, at least 6 or 7 tomatoes, and there's 14 plants. Now, what is interesting, and I do see this as sort of another sort of vindication of what was happening, that the ones down this end, where I really went and tilled the earth well, they are enormous, and they get progressively smaller as you get back up this end. Having said that, there's still loads of tomatoes on this one, right at the end. So I'm on a race against time, and I realise that I'm on a race against time because I don't want the autumn weather to claim these before they have ripened, because I want to enjoy them. But if I am able to get to that point, then this year has been an absolute success as far as I'm concerned. The potatoes I need to be digging up, the rest of the international kidney, and then the Maris Bard look to me as if they're getting ready to come out as well. So there's going to be another potato haul pretty soon. Look at those tomatoes on there. Gosh, I hope you'll ripen. I've been learning an awful lot about something called no-dig gardening and lasagna gardening. And you start off with, you know, just the soil. I mean, take weeds that are on top, or even though some people say you don't even have to do that. And then put about 3 or 4 wet and absolutely soaking wet layers of cardboard down. And then on top of that, you put about 4 to 6 inches of horse manure or cow manure or chicken manure, and then some straw, and then you put another 6 inches of compost and maybe even some seaweed on there as well. And what happens is that underneath, the horse manure heats up and starts to rot down, and that creates a bit of a hotbed. Underneath, there are no weeds that can come through, because first of all there's the physical barrier of the cardboard, stopping light, stopping it grow dead. And on top of that is the manure, which is too nutrient rich for it to grow. And on top of that is all the good fun stuff that you're going to plant in, so that over time the cardboard rots, the weeds have been killed off, and what you're left with is fertile soil. I have a particular problem over one side of my plot where it is just this grey, inert clay and stones, and it's really rubbish. And what I need to do there is basically to dig a big trench through the middle of it and put loads of manure down, so that over the winter that can all rot in and bring the soil back to life, so that I've got some decent planting area. So that's what's going on in my mind. I've got a few things that I need to do. I've got lots of weeding I still need to do. So let's see how we get on at the end, and I'll show you then. Right, well, the light's beginning to go now, and it's getting darker much quicker. So I'm going to finish here now. I'm not entirely sure what the time is, but I'm guessing it's about 7. Right, let's turn the camera around and let's show you what we did. This area over here, where all of my international kidney have now been dug up on both sides. I haven't started to dig the Maris Bard. That is going to be next weekend, but I am going to dig the Maris Bard out next weekend, and then potentially we should be getting close to the Charlottes being ready. All this has meant that there is much more room for the tomatoes to spread out, and I'm hoping that's going to help them as they ripen. Over here, you may remember these little pecked and eaten and highly ravaged greens. Well, I've had to move because this big boy in the middle here, who I hope is going to make it to adulthood, I really do, was encroaching on 2 of the others, which I've moved over this way. All being well, I'll have to move a couple more of them very soon, but I have got 2 cloches, and so I'm going to cover these up. But so far that is a good sign that, you know, when you do cover cabbage, it doesn't get mangled. I mean, yeah, somebody's had a bit of a nosh on it, but those are the outside leaves, and that's fine. And as long as they do heart up, there is a lot there for me to have, as well as for the caterpillars, so pleased about that. I've also weeded all around my tomato bed, which has taken ages to do, but I'm very, very pleased that there's nothing in there to stop these tomatoes having the best chance that they possibly can. What I didn't do was manage to weed all of the bed in here, but as I dig out the Maris Bard, that's going to make it much easier to do that. I mean, you can see all these tomatoes. I mean, there is no sort of like they're there honest. They're really there, and actually, if you can see just in here, they're getting ready to turn. So I could potentially have, well, let's not jinx it, let's not say it, but I'm starting to hope. Not expect, but I am starting to hope. Over here, yes, the cardboard has dried out. I don't think this has dropped any more. In fact, no, these have picked up a bit, so it may just be lack of water. I've just got to make sure I come down regularly and put some water down on these. The flowers are definitely there. They're definitely there, so maybe we'll get something in autumn, maybe. Curiously enough, and something my allotment neighbour pointed out, is that along here there are blackberries. Now, those leaves on that is definitely a blackberry, and actually that looks quite a nice blackberry. Oh, it's really sweet. Those leaves, to me, don't look the same as those leaves. So I'm starting to think this is a raspberry more than it is a blackberry. But we shall see. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is the star of today's show, second harvest of potatoes. Look at that. So that's it for day 19 here. I will see you again on what I hope is going to be next weekend, when I may even have a little visitor. So we'll see how that goes. But that was day 19, and I will see you for day 20 on the allotment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye.